Hey everyone, my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, give the video a thumbs up. It's gonna be a bit of a different video. This is generally a book channel. But everyone, like, I don't know, like once a year or so, I do like a general Q&A of questions I get asked through my Instagram or on my YouTube comment section or Facebook DMs, whatever it may be. Honestly, I was at the grocery store yesterday, and in Canada, Superstore is like this. I don't know what the equivalent would be, but we have one of the not Atlantic Superstores. What's it called up here? Great Canadian Superstore? I think so. And they sell some clothing there, and I don't know what these are proper called, but they're like, it's like a fleece, but like a winter one. So cozy. I just want to wear it for forever. But yeah, so one thing, especially in the last few months, I've gotten a whole lot more into is makeup. So I think they call them Get Ready With Me, but I hesitate to call it that. I am not a professional makeup artist. I am also breaking out hella. I have to clean up my diet, I think, and go through and find out what's causing it. Because I thought for a while it was maybe chips or something. But I haven't eaten chips in a while and I just keep breaking out, so I don't know what the hell is causing it. Anyways, makeup-wise, I only really generally do my eyes for the most part. I am not saying this is the right way or right order. I'm also fairly new to it. I did have an older sister growing up, but she never taught me how to use makeup. And, but yeah, so I figured I'd answer some questions while doing my makeup. I also had my friend Christina in the TV and Beyond group. She's one of the mods, messaged me. She keeps praising my makeup and I feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm not a makeup artist. I'm just learning basic shit. And she kept asking me how to do certain things. In the last year especially, since I've gotten into all of the makeup, I keep buying eyeshadow palettes that I shouldn't. Colourpop is the big one that I keep buying stuff. I got the new little Baby Yoda one. I originally got it because my friend Christina really wanted it and she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to get it. So I bought it and then she was also able to get it. So I have it now too, but it's really cute. It's all these greens that I made a look that was like kind of like a camo look. Yesterday? No, I didn't wear makeup yesterday. On Friday, I think. The ones that I have loved the most, actually haven't had a bad palette from them really, is the Making Mauves one, which is all these like dark reds, browns. I use it a lot. And then this one called Lilac You A Lot, which is like the purple equivalent. It's so pretty. I think this is the palette we're going to try today. Because I've tried some of the colors in here, but not all of them. And yeah, so we'll do this one. I think, yeah, Lilac You A Lot. I think Colourpop's having Black Friday sales this week, and I think the Lilac You A Lot one is a part of it. Again, I repeat, I am not saying this is the correct order to do makeup. I am saying this is the order that I do it, and it has worked for me over the last couple of months. One thing, if you are someone who also didn't know where to learn makeup from anyone or whatever growing up, I was always told concealer and primer were the same thing. It's not true necessarily. I used concealer forever and my eyes they're always kind of oily and I didn't know there was a thing, but that's when you're supposed to use primer. If you have like oily eyelids that will like essentially like wear away your eyeliner. So this is Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. It's like, I think this is like $30-ish Canadian, I want to say, but it works. I didn't realize how much it worked until I tried it for the first time and was like, oh wow. So one question I've been getting an awful lot is like what has gotten me into more makeup. Especially on my Instagram, I talk more about it. But actually I think even on my like YouTube, I've probably been wearing makeup consistently a whole lot more than I was like last year. Part of that being mental health. But also I just find it fun. And I can kind of explain that later on, but it's just been, I don't know, I see it now more as a thing of self-care rather. I think before I was like, well, I'm not good at makeup, so what the fuck is the point of trying? Or I don't feel good about myself, what the hell is the point of even dealing with that? I have absolutely no idea what the correct amount is for you supposed to be putting this stuff on, but I don't know. Also, I know $30 sounds like a lot, but I think I bought this specific one in, I want to say August or early September, and it's mid-November now, and I still have some in it, and I've used it basically every day. Maybe 5 days I haven't worn makeup. And I'm getting like I'm at definitely the bottom half of it. But when you like average that out, like the amount of days you've used it and everything, it's actually not super expensive. I know there's other companies that have a primer. I've never used them. I think someone's told me Fenty has one that they've really liked. Again, I've never tried that, but Fenty's owned by Rihanna as a black business, so if that's something you're interested in, that might be something for you to try. But I think Urban Decay's is everyone's like basic starter go-to because it generally works for everyone. I think they have 4 different like formulas, some for like anti-aging. I don't know if it works or not, but they have them. So yeah, I just rub it in. Again, I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it. It's how I do it. What made you get more into makeup? Honestly, I think it was a lot to do with quarantine. And I think I always just like found makeup very intimidating looking when you look at like just the amount of makeup, but then there's like 14 different things that you're supposed to do in your face before you put your makeup. I was like, I don't know what any of this is. I'm also of like, I know this sounds self-deprecating, but it is just generally how I've always thought about myself. I'm always like, I'm fat, and in school I was always playing sports. I was like, people are not interested in me, and I was always just like, well, if no one's interested, what's the point of wearing makeup? I know I don't feel good. And I was very tomboyish growing up, so it just wasn't something that really appealed to me, and I was always like, I'd rather just sleep in for an extra 20 minutes. And so I just never thought it. And then I think with quarantining, I just got more into watching YouTube videos. And I think I also, with that, expanded outside of hearing about the beauty community as like just drama. And then like everything that happened with Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson this year was wild. I found, actually though, I will say that documentary was really interesting to see the creation process of it. I think that got me more interested in makeup. Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star don't seem to be the greatest of people. But that was the first time I'd ever actually seen like the full kind of concept, which is interesting. I've always wondered about that. So I think that got me interested in. And then I think this year I just found more channels that were interesting and more accessible, and the creators of them weren't just full of drama. That was a reason why I just don't like channels like James Charles, Jeffree Star, and Manny MUA for a long time too. It just didn't, their personalities seemed I didn't trust anything that came out of their mouths, and like you never knew who you were supporting because they were always in shit. And then this year, Rare Beauty came out. If you don't know, that's Selena Gomez's brand. And I found that just immediately interesting, because she's not known for like big drama, like in terms of like makeup. She's always been like fairly simple and neutral. And I've just been interested because she does have lupus. So she's just got different things going on, I think, than the rest of the world, and has taken kind of time away for herself. So seeing just the approach of that line in the makeup was interesting, and then watching reviews for it, and I was like, know what? I'm gonna try it. I want to try some stuff of it. So I think this was the first thing about was her primer. I do use this, and I haven't had any issues with it. I like it. It's just like a glittery base underneath your foundation or whatever. And it's just like a very simple line and accessible. So I was like, you know what, okay, on the lid, I'm going to use, what's this called? Ghostin? This like pinky purple thing here. And put it on the lid. This is a cheap ass brush that I got through like an Ipsy bag like 2 years ago. And the thing keeps just like detaching from this. So it's shit. I have new makeup brushes coming though. I finally invested in a decent pair off of Lunar Beauty's website this week actually. So whenever those get to me, that'll be cool. But I've been slowly but surely just getting a few new ones. That's another thing. Makeup brush kits have like 4,000 brushes in them. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with all these? And it's expensive. So I was like, why am I buying those? So I've just taken my time and like slowly bought a couple brushes here or there. Last Black Friday, Storybook Cosmetics, which is one I've actually always been interested in because it's about books. They had like a Black Friday sale. So I got 5 of their eyeshadow brushes. And I've liked them, so I just want some more, and I just wait for sales. They're really cute though. They're like Victorian ends, which actually is funny because I ended up getting stopped through airport security and we couldn't figure out what the hell was setting off the sensors. It was the makeup brushes because they're actual metal. But yeah, honestly, it was Rare Beauty, and then just kind of finding these channels that did a good job of reviewing it and that are very kind of tutorial-y based without being like overcomplicated or preachy or not explaining enough or anything like that. Yeah, so it was just like staying home and having nothing to do, and then finding a more accessible brand and finding more accessible reviewers through them. And just deciding, yeah, I want to spend some time on this and kind of make myself feel good. And I think I found it's been kind of a good way for me to differentiate, especially while working from home or quarantining, to differentiate like, okay, today you're going to get up and put yourself together rather than just for 6 months be depressed at home in like your sweats or PJs and look and feel like crap. So I just now have been like, yeah, you'll do your makeup. Doesn't matter if you're staying home. You're going to do your makeup. Make yourself feel good. What has some of the biggest achievements this year? Trying to be optimistic, because this year has been really shit for the vast majority of us. It's been not great. I think the biggest achievement for me was when I finally took the plunge to go get a car, and a car loan. I've always bought like $2,000 cars that I'm like the 7th owner of off Kijiji or something like that. So this year I finally, I think it was the week after my birthday, it was like May 18th or something like that. I spent about a week or so just kind of browsing online, looking through consumer reports for models that I found that I was interested in. I didn't want anything super brand new, but I wanted something relatively new and reliable and whatever. Okay, I'm using this bottom one here called Iffy. This, I think here, purple here. I've used this one. It's quite nice, but not this one. This is a super dense brush, which is another thing I found out was like the difference in how makeup is put on between like floofy brushes and like super dense brushes. Just put it in the corner. Yeah, so that was a big step for me that I went alone too. Originally when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, I'll have my neighbor come. I know nothing about cars. I don't want to get swindled or whatever. He's a mechanic. And then I just decided, you know what? I want to be a big adult. I want to be a grown-ass adult. And do this. So I went, and my car is 2019, I think it is. A Kia Soul. I know there's a bunch of like jokes about the Kia Soul online because it's like a weird boxy shape. I fucking love that car. I love it so much. I have not had a single fucking issue with it. I got it with like my interest and everything for like, I think it was $20,000. It was I think it was 2018. It had like under 20,000 kilometers on it. Someone basically bought it in British Columbia and then moved up here. Bought it in BC, got into an accident. It's properly repaired and everything. Then moved up here and then got a newer model car. That's like literally all they did with it, it seems. So I was like, fuck it. So I got it. I fucking love that vehicle so much. And I was able to put a bit of a deposit down, but I was able to get a really good interest rate because for the past few years, it felt like I wasn't doing anything. But I had been really fixing my credit score. That is something that I fucked up kind of with the help of family members, growing up. Because my family has just been always financially irresponsible and uses people for money and everything like that. So I finally, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, paid off my MasterCard credit card debt. That was the thing that was dragging down my credit score. I've never paid my rent late or my phone bill late or anything. It was like overdrawn credit card that had just gone into collections and everything. So I paid it off and spent the last, I think it was 2 years now, getting a new credit card, building my credit score back up, all that shit, all that fun adult stuff that it's just stupid adult stuff. And so I was able to get a good interest rate and I'm so proud of myself for that. I don't think that's something that 3 years ago I ever would have been able to conceive for myself, of getting a new car. It only had one previous owner. You can't tell. It is perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I have my winter tires on it now. It's fantastic. I love that car and I'm really, really fucking proud of myself for that. I think getting a new car is probably the biggest adult step I'm going to be taking in it for a long time. I don't see myself buying a house where I live. I don't want to stay geographically where I am, so I don't see the point in buying a house here. So whenever I find a job somewhere geographically that I like and settle down, maybe I'll do that. But I'm also like, I feel like I don't have a lot of life skills. Like, I don't know how to fix plumbing shit or whatever. My dad always just half-assed fix shit and then kind of broke it more. I never know how to fix all that stuff. So thankfully I've had like a dope neighbor here who's helped me with car stuff, but I don't know if I'm like responsible enough to do that. So it's like, maybe I'll just rent for forever. And honestly, I've totally lucked out where I am geographically because I have a bomb landlord. He's so good. I have a reliable car now that I could go drive just like to Calgary again and never worry about my car making it. Biggest takeaway from this year. Honestly, stop putting men in positions of power. It's been a hot year. We think about like all the bad shit that's happened. First, start of this year, Australia was on fire. Who's the Prime Minister of Australia, who did a horrible job from everything I've seen of it online, is a man. With the virus from China. Some questionable things were done, especially by the Chinese government, who was run by a man who looks like Winnie the Pooh. There was that whole, like, World War III almost starting because planes and shit being shot down, run by, like, terrorist groups run by men. The countries that have handled this whole pandemic atrociously, run by men. Honestly, just stop putting men in positions of power, and I think the world would be a whole lot better. Put people like Jacinda in power, and I guarantee you, the amount of problems that would be solved in the world, which is why I'm like, I don't understand when people are like, oh, we can't put women in power because once a month they'll throw a tantrum and invade someone. I'm like, do you look at the world right now, man? Like, someone asked me if my taste buds have changed this year, which honestly, now that I thought about it, yes, I think it's especially because of quarantining. I always preferred Asian food, like Indian cuisine, Korean, Chinese. I just always prefer their food to like every other thing. Don't know why, but honestly this year it's concerning. All I ever want now is like stir fries and sushi. That's always it. That's like it. And I've even noticed that because I've been getting some of the food subscription services because I noticed I was just making a lot of frozen stuff and like throwing in the air fryer for a long time. So I got food subscription services to try and get me to like actually cook again. And it's still Asian food that I always pick. It's always the Indian food. It's always the Japanese food. Always. I don't know why. Now in this section here, I'm going to put the light purple here called Zoned Out. This purple here. And honestly, once I saw someone do it like this very simple step, I was like, oh. Because they're always just like these complicated eye looks and you're like, how the fuck do you do that? And someone was literally just like, put a shade on top, put a shade on the corner and blend it in, put a shade here and then glitter here. And I was like, that's it? And they're like, yes. And I don't even remember what it was. But also one thing I've gotten now too is when I watch them, I'll put I have a playlist on my channel that it's private, but it's a playlist of makeup looks that I like so that when I get that palette, I can try it. And I never thought of doing that before. I don't know why. Someone asked me my holiday plans, which I thought was one that I'm like, wow, how did I not think of that? Holiday plans this year. So it's been interesting because we got lots of new people at work. So we weren't sure what our holidays were going to look like. Because the last couple of years I've been able to basically take the entire month of December off. Just because all of the overtime and vacation time and everything that I had to use up. And like honestly, a bunch of our libraries closed right around Christmas and everything. Nothing new happened. So we're not really as needed as the way we are the rest of the year. So I am once again taking off basically a month. It's so nice, the job that I have, that I'm able to do that, especially because of like winter weather and like all that stuff. I can't imagine how helpful it would be, especially if I had children, to be able to do that and like catch up on shit before Christmas and all that chaos. I don't, thankfully, but just taking basically I think it starts the December 9th. I'm like starting vacation and I don't have to go back to work until I think it's January 6th or something like that. So it's going to be a very nice break to just chill. Or depending on the weather, because I have a reliable vehicle, there's a lot of like it's very rural up here, but go to somewhere I don't know, just take the dogs for a walk and just take a nice drive or something like that. It is very flat and farmlandy, but there are actually some really nice, beautiful like hills and valleys and everything just around where I live that I'd like to take the dogs, I think, on a day where maybe it's not super, super cold. I think that'd be nice. Favorite holiday flavors. I kind of always go through these, but someone also asked me what my like holiday desserts were. So I'll kind of fold this in. Flavors. I always I like peppermint mochas and that sort of stuff. Always love that stuff. But I have been so excited this year for, I don't even know where I originally had it, but having orange cranberry sugar cookies. Also dessert, I think this is kind of universal in Canada, that I don't know if everyone has it everywhere. Nanaimo bars, that's kind of like a very quintessential Canadian Christmas thing. It's like chocolate butter and coconut into a crumble, and you press it at the bottom of and fat butter into the bottom of a pan, and then you make like a custard, and you can make like a vanilla custard, a peppermint custard, raspberry, I've seen orange, like any custard you want in the middle, and then you put a coating of like just chocolate ganache on top of that and put it in the fridge. It is a diabetes square, but they are so good. So good. It's, oh, so good. My family would always get them from M&M Meats, a box of them, and we would always fight over them. They're super sweet though. Super sweet, but really good. I don't know if they're actually from, there's a town in British Columbia called Nanaimo. I don't know if that's where they're originally from, or like it's just a coincidence and they've taken that as the branding, but Nanaimo bars, so good. It's just like, it screams Christmas and New Year's to me. I'm going to use the one called Wake Me. It's a bit of a pinky shimmer, just because I put that pink on the lid that you can kind of see faded out a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. Also, I got this little thing. It's Miracle Worker. It's like a, what do they call it? Color swapper. It's just like, and it gets rid of some of the color that way. It's easy. It's simple when you have like pinks and purples you're working with, but if you want to keep the same brush without having to wash it and you don't want to mix up the colors, magic. Favorite thing I bought this year, definitely my car. I didn't realize how stressed I was about like my car not starting sometimes. It was just such an old car that it's so nice, and I'm really proud of myself. I think I'm also really proud of the makeup. I need to slow down on the makeup, but I'm proud because I've bought it and I'm using it. I think that was my biggest hurdle, is just like getting comfortable using it. And maybe that's it too, because I am staying home. I'm like, if I fuck up, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? My dogs are gonna see it. Like, they eat poop. Like, what? Oh no, right? So, yeah, I think the car for sure. And candles. I've gotten more into candles. I find candles really relaxing. So relaxing. And Bath and Body Works used to be such like a luxury thing. They're not like outrageously priced. It's just I never had the kind of money to do that regularly. But I did this year. I was like, you know what? I'm home. I'm gonna make this home homey and as comfortable as possible for myself. And instead of buying money from an MLM essential oil, I got myself some candles, and it's just nice having my house perpetually smell like hot chocolate, basically. It's so nice. Biggest struggle this year. I guess I should have done this one before, but come on, in case I cry. In addition to COVID, I lost my grandpa this year. Very suddenly. He was about 80. Just because of geography, he lived in Quebec. My family never had a ton of money, so we weren't able to see him as much as I would have wanted growing up. And then when I moved to Nova Scotia, it became kind of even more inaccessible, especially because in Nova Scotia I didn't own a car, so I couldn't drive, and like flying is just a mess. He didn't live in Montreal either, so like it was just difficult. And at the same time, I lost my grandmother, I think about it would be probably 8 years ago now. She had been sick my whole life, but my grandfather always took care of her. My whole life I remember him taking care of her. She had every illness you could imagine, and he just took care of her and loved her and made sure she was okay and as comfortable as possible. So she finally passed away, which we found out she was on her deathbed, and me, my mom, and my brothers got in my car, which again was a piece of shit. I'm amazed it made it there and back. And and drove from Southern Ontario to Quebec. And we got there and they were like, honestly, hun, don't panic. You're not gonna get here on time. Just take your time and be ready to help when you get here. And she held on until about 2 hours after we got there. And everyone was like, we felt like she was waiting. My family's not spiritual, but that was just weird or comforting to hear, whatever. And then my grandfather, for the past few years, had finally got to like start living a life. It was a small town in Quebec, and he ended up dating one of the parents of my mom's. My mom used to babysit this woman's kids, right? And she lived like a block away from my grandfather's house. It's a small town though, so it's not everyone's kind of a block away. And they started dating, and she's such a nice woman. She's my step grandma now. And they got married. And it was so nice for my grandpa to get to like live a life. I'd never gotten to see him do that before. And I just imagined that I was like, oh, it's like, we were scared right after my grandma died. Oh no, is he going to go? When that seems to happen all the time. But he didn't. We're like, oh, okay. It's going to be okay. So like, I think it was a year and a half ago, he went to Greece with my step grandma, and they would snowbird in the winter in Florida, and they went hot air balloon. He got to do all of these amazing things that I'm so happy he got to do. And I just never I spoke to him all the time. It was just geographically hard to go see him. So in January, when for my conference, I went to see my mom, my sister. The conference was in Toronto. They live in Ottawa, so I went to go see them, and then we got in the car and then drove to Quebec to go see my grandpa. He was fine, in good health, didn't have any concerns, and then I got a call like 3 o'clock in the morning about 2-3 weeks after I left. And my mom was crying, and I couldn't understand what the hell she was talking. It was like 3 a.m. here or something like that. And my mom, I just remember hearing like, he died, he's dead, he's gone, he's gone, Grandpa's gone. And I didn't understand what's happening. And I just remember crying. Like, it was like 2 days before his birthday too. So I was literally thinking the night before I went to bed, I was like, oh, make sure, like, put an alert on my phone, make sure you call Grandpapa on his birthday. And like, he had like kind of like a slight infection, I guess, in his lung or something like that. And that just ended up exacerbating, and he didn't get it checked out early enough. So it was essentially a heart attack. And I feel terrible because my step grandma, she lost my grandfather essentially to a heart attack. And she had been married before. And this gentleman had died 20 years, I think, before my grandpa got together. And he died really young of a heart attack too. And then, at my grandpa's funeral, which we went to, someone died in the middle of the reception. Or wake, while everyone was coming and shaking hands, just keeled over and died. And this was like right when COVID hit. So I got to go to my grandpa's funeral, and they haven't been able to have the funeral for the gentleman who died at his funeral. Like, it's just been such a hot mess. And like, because he wasn't like, didn't have a long-term ailment or anything like that. So that was shit. And I keep kind of having like little mini breakdowns because they've been going through his will. My grandfather was an incredible person, and he took care of my mom and my grandma and everything. And we knew he had a little bit of money. He sold his house and moved in with my step grandma. And then we just knew he had that money laid out. We didn't realize how much. So he left us money. So we've been kind of getting it in bits and pieces, kind of from the notary or whatever, as he's going through his assets and everything. And I just have full-blown cry fits every time I get a check, which is the weirdest and probably the whitest thing ever, to cry over getting a check in the, I don't know. It's just been a struggle. And every time I think I'm okay, like something will set me off. And like, he wasn't the first grandparent I lost. I lost my grandma, and then I lost my grandfather on my other side years and years ago. But I was never close to that grandfather. He had Parkinson's and Alzheimer's my whole life, so I didn't really know him. And then my grandma, she was just always sick, so we kind of knew it was always coming. So I'm down to one grandparent, and I don't even really talk to that grandparent. So, but I always thought, like, on the off chance I ever got married, it would be my grandfather that I would want to walk me down the aisle. So I think I don't really think I'll ever get married, and I don't see that for myself. But I think at that point I was always like, I would do it for that memory with him, and that's not there anymore. And for it to be so abrupt when the other two parents I've lost, the other two grandparents, have been long illnesses. We knew it was coming. So that, and then trying to deal with that while everyone's like, oh yeah, a bunch of Canadians are dying because a bunch of assholes won't wear a mask in public. And you're like, the fuck? New addictions this year that have evolved partially from COVID. Fucking TikTok. It is atrocious how much time I spent on that app. For the longest time, I was like, what is the appeal? I don't understand why I would want to watch a bunch of like white girls and guys who look the same in their early 20s, dance badly, the same 5 things to just clips of me. I don't understand the appeal of that. And then I got on TikTok and I didn't realize it's basically like, it's like YouTube. There's a community for everyone out there. So there's tons on there for dogs. Oh, lots of dogs, lots of cooking, lots of K-pop, American politics ones. It's been really interesting finding pundits and stuff like that. Yeah, it's been a really interesting experience. And I get on there and like 4 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 a.m. I need to go to bed. It's a very addictive app, but I honestly was not totally aware of exactly what it was. I thought I was, but it really, there's so much content on there. And honestly, there's so many funny fucking people on there. And the amount of like, there's this one girl that like duets a bunch of videos and she always manages to put this weird one-liner in. And the videos are so short, so you have to be like quick and witty on your shit, right? And this girl is fucking hilarious. There's also this one guy called Marcus Jake something, and he's been really interesting. He condenses kind of the American politics, everything going on into like short clips and just says like, this is what's happening. And that's it. So it's really interesting. So I'll put the channel things here of people that I follow pretty regularly. Yeah. So this is where we're at with the makeup. I like that. And I think I'm going to go back in with this filtered color here, just in the corner to like make it seem a little more depthy. You know what I mean? Just tap, tap, tap. I'm really proud of that. See, like, it's just like, if something so small and simple, and I'd, like, last year if I looked at them and like, how the fuck did that person do it? I did it. Which also, that's my new favorite meme this year, is that, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not gonna do it, girl. I was just thinking about it. I'm not gonna do it. 5 seconds later, I did it. That's me every time I see new makeup that I want, or even TikTok. I follow a lot of cooking and coffee kind of accounts on TikTok. Every one of them have an espresso machine. So I feel like I've been advertised to for the last like, I don't know how long, many months now. And then for Black Friday, Nespresso machines were on starting at $99 instead of $200. And I was like, fine, your advertisement has worked. So I bought it. I ended up having to buy it online because the only place I saw it in the city I live in was at Walmart, and they didn't have any in stock. So I ordered it online and it shipped today. So I should get it next week. But I don't have like a home Keurig or anything like that. So I thought it would be just a nice way to have a proper espresso machine. That's one thing I do miss. And it would help me cut down on Starbucks and that sort of stuff. Living in the US versus Canada this year. Boy, I do pay a lot of attention to American politics. I know there's always those people who are like, you don't live in the United States. You don't get an opinion on shit. So there's this thing called the American Empire. So the United States has military bases in like every country, including Canada. We also share a border with the United States in the north because of Alaska and the south. We also have had over the past couple of years tariff wars because Donald Trump just likes throwing temper tantrums. And trade deals and all that stuff in North America. So that stuff, as well as like the stock market and like world currencies and everything, is heavily dependent on the United States. So I pay attention to the United States. It's fucking infuriating the last 4 years, but I pay attention because that stuff always has an impact on us. So I've been paying an awful lot of attention. This year especially because we didn't have an election. Even when we have elections in Canada are like 3 months long max. We have a slightly different structure. You don't vote directly for the premier, the prime minister. You vote for like a local representative, and then the one with the most representatives party, like the most people in the party that have that, it's first past the poll to like, I think it's like 230 seats or something like that. And then that's who ends up being the prime minister. It's the leader of that party, who happens to be Justin Trudeau right now. Justin Trudeau has had a lot of like controversies over the last little bit. So ironically, the conservative government keeps trying to like pull a coup and like vote for another federal election right now. I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity for that right now. It's also ironic because they're like, there's this whole corruption thing. I don't totally understand it because I honestly can't be bothered to pay attention because the people screaming at our prime minister for being corrupt are literally the Conservative Party who just had to pick another leader because their party leader who just left was caught using the funding of the party to send his kids to private school. Like, I can't take any of you seriously. I'm not voting for any of you under the impression that you're all good people. I know you're all like overtly rich people who like had a leg up on everyone, especially Justin Trudeau. His father was prime minister of our country for like, I don't know, 10 years or something like that before I was born. So like, it's like, it's the way that like George Bush got elected when his dad, it's the same shit here right now. I don't like Justin Trudeau. I didn't vote for him in the last election, but like, I can't take a federal election right now. Mentally, I can't handle that. Though it would not be as dramatic as the United States. But, he has done a half decent job, I think, during the COVID pandemic. So in Canada, I never lost my job. I was very lucky in that. I could just work from home. And it was no big deal. In Canada, there was this thing, we called it abbreviated to CERB, C-E-R-B. But I think it was like the Canadian Emergency Relief something. And you could apply if your money either got like if you completely lost your job or if it got reduced because of like how many people you can have or if the dining room got shut down or whatever. And I think it was about $2,000 a month you got for a single person, and I think it varied if you had kids or whatever. I think it was for like 6 months we had it. And it was a very quick turnaround. I think people applied and then like within 2 days they got their money directly deposited into their bank account. I think they forewent a bunch of like the like double checking information to just be like, okay, we'll give them the money, and if when they do their tax returns, we see that they shouldn't have got the money, we'll take it back from them then, and we'll tax it then, the money that they did get, because I think it was tax free for now. I would rather you do that and then figure out however we need to get back. That just makes more sense to me rather than having someone that can't afford groceries who should be getting the money. That's just it. I think that was the right thing to do. I wish they would have done it for a little bit longer. Also, for I think it was 6 months, they paused student loans, which was incredibly helpful. Even when I didn't lose my job, incredibly helpful. Wow, I just realized how long this video is going to be. I can't imagine how difficult it is to have graduated at this point from school, trying to get into the workforce. Good grief. But, sorry, this is like some tester mascara I got from Sephora from Milk. I've liked it so far. It's a little clumpy, but it could be totally me. Honestly, I think I hate the Premier of Alberta. He's an absolute deplorable person, and we're the only province in the country that doesn't have a mask mandate, because we're basically Texans here. We have a bunch of people, it's like Texas combined with Utah. We have a bunch of like people who work in the oil field who don't believe in science, or they think it's the enemy because it would conflict with their job making atrocious amounts of money, even though oil field has like really hit a hard time over the past few years, and then they're just pretending it's not happening. And our premier simultaneously cutting funding to the healthcare system while we're in the middle of a pandemic. Not fucking listening to scientists, not listening to nurses. He's fighting with all the doctors in our province to the point that a bunch of them are just closing up shop, leaving, and going to other provinces who need doctors, so why the fuck would you stay here? And he's just like, oh, I don't want to have to shut things down again. And it's just going to, while simultaneously cutting our healthcare funding, because he has to get funding based on our federal rules, but then it's provincially kind of done. He can crush it, essentially, that he wants to make sure that he gives them as little funding as necessary, and then when it's overrun and not working properly, he'll be like, see, socialized healthcare is bad. We should continue giving tax breaks to oil companies and pretend that that's not socialism, and then scream that we hate socialized healthcare because it doesn't work. Back Ontario and Alberta are just a hot mess of COVID right now. We also just have really shitty premiers, and I just don't understand how these are the people that got put in charge of our provinces. Especially Ontario. Ontario is like 15 million people or something like that. It's a good chunk of the Canadian population. Even though actually, when you take in that population into account, Alberta has more cases per capita. Because people here are just fucking stupid. Our premier's like, I'm going to treat you like adults or whatever. No, don't do that. A bunch of people here don't believe in science. A bunch of people here think MLMs are small businesses. Like, no, I'm not. Stop telling me that my coworker who thinks essential oils are going to cure cancer is a responsible human being. Stop it. It's honestly been a mixed bag. I am very thankful though that we do have socialized healthcare, so because we do have long-term effects of COVID. We know that that's a thing. That I know that I'm covered. I am happy that I was not in the United States for a pandemic. The amount of stupid people you guys have in that country is concerning. A lot of that bullshit has leaked into Canada. We've always had like the yellow vests. They're a bunch of like racist people in the oil field basically here that don't want to listen to that shit. Honestly, I would have rather like lived in New Zealand for all of this. Just any country run by a woman, basically. I'm far more interested in. Yeah, so it's been better to live in Canada than the United States during all this shit, but Canada did not handle it as well as we could have. Honestly, I think there's still shit that needs to be done properly. I don't know what the Prime Minister or Premier can or cannot do. That's a big thing. But we should just be completely shutting down borders and trying to isolate ourselves. We're not an island the way New Zealand is. But our only person that would really come in contact with us is the United States. If we just shut down the border with the United States, we would be okay. If we got it under control here, we could essentially get COVID free. But they've kept allowing a lot of like international travel, and like they keep letting Americans in, and then every once a week or so I find a news article about like a couple that came in from the United States who violated quarantine restrictions and got like $1,000 fine. I'm like, they don't fucking care about that kind of a fine. No, I can't even say I don't know. I know that our prime ministers and our premiers wouldn't do that. We have too many stupid people running positions politically in this country. Wow, I fucking love this look. It came out so cute. I know that some do the underline eyeshadow and stuff. I'll do that if I'm going out, but I'm happy with this just as it is. It's so cute. I like this. This palette, the Lilac You a Lot and the Making Mauves one, have been like easily my favorites. All of the colors in them work perfectly. I don't know if that will go under realization, but this year, I think I've been struggling a lot. I've always had a lot of family drama. We have a lot of mental health issues, substance abuse issues, all that stuff in my family. I've never had a really good, like, genuine relationship with my father. And in the last year or so, my mom and my dad have been separated basically since I was in high school, but basically forced to live together because of financial situations. And I think finally this year I kind of came to I grappled with that I'm not a bad person for cutting people out of my life that shouldn't, that don't deserve to be in my life, but also are just negatively contributing to my life. I'm really happy with how I sit with my sister, my mom, and my brother-in-law, and I just have a better relationship with them now. I talk more frequently and more excited and all that stuff to talk to them. I'm supposed to talk to my mom today, actually. So, knowing my worth and when it's time to cut people out. I'm trying to debate. I don't know that I want eyeliner today. I am always a big fan of eyeshadow and eyeliner. I've been using the Rare Beauty Selena Gomez's eyeshadow pen or eyeliner pen. It's actually pretty good. I feel like it ran a little bit dry kind of quickly. It still like works, but like you have to like put it upside down for it to like work. I like it. It's a good glide on. It's really, really good. And I feel like it's pretty forgiving if you kind of mess up a little bit. I also got, pretty recently, the Colourpop BFF liquid liner. It is not very dry. It is not very wet though. It's a quite dry eyeliner. So I feel like this would be good if you don't put eyeshadow on, you just do eyeliner and mascara. This is probably a good one. I don't hate it. I'll definitely finish it, but I don't know that I'll be rebuying it. And then other than that, what's the one that I normally, for the longest time, used? Oh, this one here. L'Oreal Matte. This is the eyeliner that I wore forever, and people would always comment on my videos being like, oh, your eyeliner's so nice. Is this one. Oops. It was from the Shoppers Drug Mart, L'Oreal Matte, whatever. I think they have a bunch of different colors, but I just found like the amount of product in here for the price was like meh. So I looked, but the pen is really good. So I just kind of switch back and forth between those eyeliners, but I don't actually want eyeliner today. I look really hella cute with this. I like this. Also, I just realized this year too, especially with Jenna Marbles being gone, I miss her so fucking much. How much of my personality is from Jenna Marbles? Or mannerisms? I don't know what the word is anyways. Work this year, I'm kind of done my makeup, I think, basically. Work this year has been weird. So where I work, I've worked here since I finished grad school. So like, it's been almost 5 years now. This is I was, until like the start of this year, I was the newest employee. So like 4 years, we had no staff changes basically. And then, or right at the end of last year, our IT guy moved back to Nova Scotia. And he had started basically when I started. And then they hired back our old IT guy who wanted to come back to work for us because he didn't like the old place, I guess or the new place he was working at. So there was that. And then all of a sudden this year, we had 3 people retire. 3 people retire, including our CEO. And then we had one person replace one of the people who retired. And then she only lasted a couple months. And then she left. And then we replaced her with someone new who she's still there. And I'm actually we're good. I like her. And so like, it's been weird that the office has like very quickly gotten a lot younger. We had a lot of people that are like in their 50s and 60s who have been there for a long time. And then now it's like predominantly people 30-ish, which is really wild. And we have a new CEO who, I never had issues with our old CEO. She was pretty good. But I think on a personality level, I get along a lot better with our new CEO. We just have a lot of more in common, I guess. So I really like her. But it's been a lot of changes. So it was a little bit scary for a little bit, but we've had a lot of changeover. And I think the people who have stuck around are good. There's no big toxic new people that have come in or anything like that. And I feel like with those changes, it's a lot, the entire office is a lot more receptive when someone's like, hey, can we try this? Because for a long time, it was always like, well, we've always just done it this way and you're the newbie, so you can just deal with it. And I was always like, okay. Like for staff fund, we always take like $10 out of everyone's paycheck to put it to a staff fund for like coffee or like parties or whatever. And we, for some reason in the office, always get nabob coffee. It's vile. And I figured out after a long time, it causes me heartburn. I don't know if it's too acidic or whatever. It gives me really bad heartburn. So I can't drink the coffee in the office, but I pay my staff funds towards it, right? So for the longest time, I was like, could we try and like even take just like a portion of what we spend on that to get a different coffee? Because I found out it wasn't just me that couldn't drink it because of heartburn. And it was a lot of just like, well, these 3 people have been here for forever. So like, this is just how things are done. But that's been like a lot more like, everyone's just been more receptive to being like, hey, so this isn't working for everyone. Maybe let's address it and see if we can make this work more, which I've been really happy about. I really like that change. It was scary at first, but I'm really happy with that. And the last thing was, on a positive note, some variation of the question of, oh, wait, no, that's not the last question. Someone asked me. I couldn't find a way to fold this into another question, but so someone asked me, when and where did you get your dogs? Would you like to have a cat? So I got Sherlock in between 3rd and 4th year undergrad. And he was a puppy. I bought him at a pet store, which I didn't know all of the issues with at the time. I was having a lot of panic and anxiety issues, and I saw a dog in the pet store and he was just so excited. And I was like, oh my God, can I hold a dog? I had always had a family dog growing up, and he died, in my 2nd or last year of high school. So it was just weird not having a dog. And then at that point I had moved back home and then I saw Sherlock and I was just like, oh, and I held him and he just kissed me nonstop. And I was just like, I need to have a dog again. And I remember I came home, I was like an hour late coming home from work, and my mom looked at me and she went, what did you do? And the place I worked at was literally across the street from a pet store. She knew. And I was like, and then Sherlock came running into the apartment and my mom and my dad were like, what did you do? And then I had him alone for like 3 years. And then I was just like, I feel bad when I go to work or go to school and he doesn't have anyone to hang out with. So I watched for a while. I should also preface, the town that I grew up in, and even in Halifax, dogs are not highly available at the like humane societies and pounds. It's predominantly cats. dogs just don't seem to last long there. People adopt them really quickly. There's actually a wait list at the one that I was in Halifax, so my grandmother would always put her name down for certain breeds if she wanted them or whatever. And there was just like, there's a long process of like screening and everything to get dogs too, especially when you adopt them that way. And then I was working at Subway at the time, and my coworker, her dog got pregnant, and I was like, dude, I have been looking for a dog. Any chance? And that is Watson. So I got Watson in my last year of grad school. And he was a puppy too. So I think if I get a new dog in the future, I would want to foster and or adopt from a rescue though. And I love pit bulls so much. That's the thing. I love bully dogs. They're so misunderstood and such big floof and big pouties, but they're banned in Ontario and a couple of different places. So it also restricts the where you can work and live, but also too, there's a lot of breed restrictions with rentals too. A lot of places will be like, fine, we'll take a dog if it's under 20 pounds or whatever. A lot of places will say nothing above 50 pounds and no bully breeds on them. So I don't know. If I ever own that might be one reason why I would eventually buy a house. I like kittens. Cats, I can watch them. My neighbor, when he goes away for a couple days or whatever, I'll watch his cat. Love his cat. And cat seem to really like me. The concept of allowing an animal to pee in the house and have to clean out that litter box and let it claw at your shit, because I think declawing is just not a good thing to do. I don't think I could handle that. I don't think I could handle that. I can cat sit. I could not cat own. They're cute as kittens, and that's about it. Oh, also the scratching and everything. I don't like that. I'm definitely a dog person. And the last question I got was, what's something that you're thankful for? I think this year made it abundantly clear. I've always said this before, but honestly, I have a really good landlord. With everyone's housing being so uncertain during this pandemic and everything like that, I just have a genuinely good landlord. He didn't jack up my rent. He didn't send me any threatening emails or letters. When something needs to be fixed, it needs to be fixed. Even when I moved in originally, he was like, I never want to like leave someone homeless, especially if you have dogs. Unless you do like extreme damage to this apartment or whatever, I'm more than happy to work with you. If you think that you're going to be late for paying rent, let me know with as much advance as possible and we will work something out. Even since I moved here 4.5 years ago now, he's only raised my rent once by $50. And it was because there was a tax bracket or tax credit change thing, and it impacted that. So like, I have no complaints whatsoever about my landlord, and I saw a lot of that this year, so I'm very lucky about that. So yeah, anyways, this was a long one to get ready with me. This is what my eyes ended up looking like. I hope you can see them. I'm really happy with them. And that was the Lilac You A Lot palette from Colourpop. It is on sale in some vault or something like that this week on Colourpop. So if you're interested in that, and the Making Mo's palette have been like just like my favorites of them. So yeah, if you want me to do more of these, then let me know. And upcoming December, I know I'm going to do some videos of my top reads of 2020, my most anticipated of 2021, maybe some more cover reveal videos. But if you want me to do anything specific in December, like if there's a Christmas tag or something like that, let me know. I'll try and work it into my plans. And stay safe, wear a mask, and have a wonderful, Black Lives Matter, and have a wonderful week.